don't believe it. I actually don't believe it, so it doesn't matter.
Well, it's not like you know what's funny? You hit that record button and I have to say, got it, but it's already recording. Like it warns me we're recording, and I'm like, well, if it's already
You have to
recording,
acknowledge it.
yeah, but it's already recording. So isn't that a little late? It shouldn't start recording till after I acknowledge it.
I think it has to be recording so that you can say yes to recording.
But it doesn't ask me verbally, just puts it on the screen.
Like, I don't write the rules, man. We just play by them.
Oops, I almost fell out of my chair. Hey, anyhow, that's why the original die had 6 sides and not 4 or 8 or any other 6. That's why I had 6.
Huh.
Yep.
I thought it was the thing about the elephant tusk. They couldn't mine the tusk anymore.
That's why I had 6 sides.
Well, initially 6, then they had to cut down on the tusk usage and made it 4. Wait a minute, it's not 4 sides to a die. There's 8, aren't there?
6.
6. You're right. That's why there's 1 through
Good thing
6.
you don't teach geometry
No,
at
that
your
would be
school.
gambling. Speaking of gambling, hey, we're back.
Oh, that's right. We are. Yep.
Hey, so listen, this is Dave and Woody. Welcome to We Can Help with Dave and Woody. Say that 3 times fast. Hey, we have some exciting news. Are we at liberty to say it?
Yes, of course. You're always at liberty to speak.
First of all, for the kids in the back of the room that know us, this is season 3, episode 12. So I don't know who put us on this 12-week episode deal. I think it was me. But we have this after tonight's show will be our 3rd season, episode 12. So 36 episodes are in the can.
36 hours of
bullshit?
Nothing being accomplished.
Yeah. Well, we've helped, I don't know, P1
numerous
says we've
people.
helped nobody.
Well, you bring up a good point, because that is the number one question, and one you've often pressed me on, is why are we called We Can Help? And the original idea of the show was that listeners would want to get our input on things they're dealing with, hence the email address we gave out, hence the pushing it out on X, formerly Twitter, which I still contractually obligated still to say that phrase. And people would send us things that they would like our input on. So before we change the name and everything, let's give it a few more episodes or chances for people to send in things they'd like us to discuss.
I'm not opposed to what we're doing. I think at this point, it is an element of confusion. As far as I'm concerned, that's part of the gig. If someone walks away and goes, what are they doing? It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. We've made our point at that point, right?
That we're confusing. Yeah.
Right. But needless to say, if you want to email us, you can use Dave and Woody podcast at gmail.com. You can hit us up on Twitter. Dave, what's that address?
At
X,
Dave,
excuse me.
At Dave and Woody Pod. At Dave and Woody Pod, POD, or the tagline We Can Help on X, formerly known as Twitter.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. And that was housekeeping.
Well, yes. And I'd like to say, I will strike up a conversation with management this week. Play your cards right. Maybe I'll let you in on the tail end of that conversation and see what we can do for negotiations of 4th season. And I do believe, at least in this episode, we're going to attempt to start our YouTube channel with We Can Help with Dave and Woody as well.
Well, I think we should just go ahead and announce that.
It's out there.
Because if you're looking at us on YouTube, right? What's the YouTube channel, Woody?
We Can Help with Dave and Woody.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So if you search that on YouTubers, so here's what we wanted to do. We want to get a couple episodes under our belts, because Woody and I, if you don't know this, we're 2 fraternity brothers from 34 years ago at the University of Central Florida, Eta Pi chapter of Sigma Chi. We can say that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know this, a lot of you don't know that stuff, but there's a 50th anniversary coming up in February. which we are intending on being there and celebrating with our brothers down in Orlando. But the point of the story is we wanted to get 36 episodes together to kind of reunite, rekindle the relationship, and also spend some time together on air to get our timing down and perfect the art of really boring our listeners to sleep.
So
so now we're taking the show on the video.
I do have one listener who says he listens to us as he falls asleep at night, and the show just keeps running. I said, hey, that's good with me.
We can help insomnia.
right.
And it's drug free, 100% natural.
Right.
Except for the cancer you might get from your
the Bluetooth.
What's the level 5 that we're at now? Cat 5? No, what is that called?
Cat 5's a cable.
Yeah, I know that. What is the signal?
5G?
5G, yeah.
Oh, yes, yeah, that's cellular. Yeah. I hear, the other day, did you get that? I don't know if we talked about this when they did the nationwide test of the emergency system on our phones a couple weeks ago.
Electric pulse, magnetic pulse.
Right. Yeah, people that got the COVID vaccine were supposed to die on that. That was the conspiracy theory going around about that one.
It was going to initiate something inside the vaccine.
Yeah, whatever was injected. I was a recipient of the vaccine, so apparently something was going to be kicked off inside my body when that 5G signal was sent out.
Like a James Bond film.
yeah, exactly.
Send a signal to attack your heart or something.
There was one of those. I'm not going to even talk about it because I can't remember the show, but there was one of those premises in.
There's a bunch of those.
Yeah. Anyhow, yeah. So that's what 5G was supposed to do to us a couple weeks ago.
But seriously, not the vaccine part of it, but I mean, you're on that side of the technology. Is there any fear to 5G? I mean, everyone kept saying that we're going to grow two heads and all kinds of going to mess us up, change our cellular structure or something.
The funny part is the technology of 5G is frequency agnostic, meaning you can use it in different frequency bands. So to think that 5G was somehow using different frequencies that were going to do things to us was kind of odd to me in the first place, because it uses some of the same bands that cellular has been using for decades, and other TV and things of that nature. I think where it all started from is the original frequencies by the FCC set aside for 5G were very high frequencies. And I think people were like, oh, no, that's in the microwave band. I'm using my finger quotes for those not watching us on YouTube. In the microwave band. And I guess there was some idea that was too high a frequency to be around human beings and so forth. But what people don't realize is you're always inundated with frequencies in all bands, whether it's being broadcast from a cellular antenna or something through the atmosphere itself. So no, there's no harm in that sort of thing. But
well, I guess my question is, I'm 6'4", my wife's 5'2", and our microwave in our kitchen sits on a little bit of a lower than 29 inches shelf. And so as I'm warming up my coffee, standing there in my boxer briefs, am I at more risk of frying off my stuff?
No, not at all. The doors and everything are sealed on microwaves. It's funny. My grandmother had one of the first microwaves to come out, the old Amanas. That thing was huge. It was. I'm trying to think of something to equate it to. I'm looking around my office here, but it was like 3 or 4 feet wide by 2 feet high, and the neighbors' lights would dim when that thing turned on. And nothing nefarious ever came of that.
Is she still alive?
No, unfortunately. I don't think it had to do with the amount of microwave.
It was the Teflon that she used, or the aluminum pans.
Now, there's a lot of other things in this world, smoking and other things of that nature that are much more harmful to your body than a microwave or any kind of frequency will
That
be.
was something I had that was kind of funny.
Oh, people dying? Yeah, that's hilarious.
No, I was thinking it's not real mature. I was thinking about sayings when like I smoke cigars. Everyone who listens to us knows that. And I've no, it doesn't happen very often because I don't run around telling everybody I smoke cigars. But I mean, in the odd chance that comes up, mind you, 20, 30 years ago, we lived in a universe where everybody and their brother smoked cigarettes. And it was so commonplace to see someone it was almost uncommon not to see somebody smoking a cigarette. And
Yep.
so now when someone fires up a cigarette, it's like, oh my gosh, that guy smokes a cigarette, or
I just had
whatever.
that discussion with someone at work, but go ahead.
So I smoke cigars, and I find I'm a very hospitable cigar smoker. I know it's a heavier smoke,
Mm.
courteous cigar smoker, I guess. And so if I'm going to smoke outside, by the way, there's some municipality laws of trying to stop people from smoking cigars outside. Apparently in California, you can piss and poop on the sidewalk, but you can't
Yes.
smoke a cigar outside. But the point of this is I was thinking about catchphrases that you could say when someone comes to me and says, "Oh, you smoke cigars, that's good, dangerous for your health." And one that came to mind was, "Well, so is cleaning my gun, cleaning a loaded gun." But then I didn't have a punchline other than being really malicious, like you should try it or something like that. But I was trying to think of, I don't know, it fell flat. I was on the way to the bathroom or something. When I was thinking
Don't
about,
you know smoking's bad for you? And your reply would be, so is cleaning a loaded gun.
yeah, I
Oh,
don't know. I was just thinking, is there some angle that we could come back with to retort those? My response is, yeah, we're all gonna die. I was in the insurance business for a long time, and we all die. So,
you could say, so is being stupid. Maybe
well, that's
that's
true.
your reply. You know.
Yeah, I don't know. That kind of fell flat, but it caught me in a whim that someone said, that's bad for you. I'm like, yeah,
I cigar smoke I got a gigantic nose, so uh, aromas and smells, I'm very tuned into them, and cigar smoke is one that almost gives me an instant headache. And long time ago, maybe 20 years ago or so, me and a friend went out to a golf course to play, and it was just the two of us. And they said, "Hey, do you mind if you get paired up with our one of another player?" We're like, "No, that's okay. Yeah, sure, that's fine," is what we meant. And they said, "Sure, this is Wayne, and he's going to play with you today." Well, we get on the first tee. Wayne, I don't know, he's an older guy, probably over six, probably like 6'2", something that in that nature, probably in his mid to low 60s. And we start playing. He lights up the nastiest cigar I've ever smelled, and it was just horrendous. And I could smell it from he'd leave it in his cart, but I could smell it on the tee box, on the putting green. Anytime I was within 50 feet of this guy, it just reeked. And I'm starting to have a bad day playing. Of course, that just makes every little sound and smell out there even 100 times worse. So we're about 6 holes in, and I tell my buddy, I said, "That's it, man." He lights up another effing cigar. I'm telling him to put that stupid thing out. And he look it. This is he's a real sports buff. We call him our human sports encyclopedia. He goes, "No, wait a second." He goes, have you seen his shorts?" I said, "No." And it has the Tampa Bay Lightning logo on the shorts, and I don't think very much of that, right? I'm like, so
is it
what?
hockey or soccer?
Yeah, a hockey team. And I'm like, so what? I got LA Rams shorts. Does that make me special? I can smoke a cigar now? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, the NHL's, and it was a strike season for the NHL. And he said his name was Wayne, right? I'm like, yeah.
Gretzky? You're playing with Gretzky?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would have asked where his wife was.
His daughter.
Yeah, no, well, his wife was even better.
That's true. That was a dancer or a movie star, wasn't it?
yeah, Janet Jones. So
We digress.
he puts two and two together. He goes, there's a Wayne Cashman that coaches for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they're on strike right now. Do you think that's him? I'm like, who? What? Wayne Cashman played with the Boston Bruins, was on a Stanley Cup team like 3 times and all that. I'm like, whatever, So he goes, no, just don't say anything about the cigar. And so I go up to him. I said to the guy, I said, your name's Wayne, right? He goes, yeah. I go, you wouldn't happen to be on your name on the Stanley Cup? He goes, yep. It was Wayne Cashman of the
Are you
Boston
serious?
Bruins. Yes. I let that guy smoke the cigar the rest of the round.
You said, fire him up, Wayne.
I could. A guy with his name on the cup 3 times, played with Bobby Orr and all those people, and I'm like, I can't ask this guy to
Oh,
put
that's
his
a
cigar
great
out.
story.
Yeah. So, but
Did
luckily,
you know the Packers?
the what?
The Packers?
What are you talking? How do you get to
The
the
Packers from
Packers?
church. The guy from church.
Oh, no, I wasn't living up here yet. Boy,
That's a great story, man.
you did a callback, and I forgot all about that. But
No, trying to work my magic.
yeah, you're pretty good.
So
Then.
you played with a guy whose name's on the Stanley Cup once, twice,
At least
3 times?
3 times, I think. Yeah.
As a player, a couple times.
As a player only that I know of. I don't think he made it. Every once in a while, I'll look him up on Wikipedia just
Do
because
you
I
have all
remember.
of his teeth?
Yeah. I don't know if they were fake or not. We didn't get into that much. So this was, I didn't want to bug him too much. He was in his cart by himself, and we were asking about the strike and all that because the players were on strike, and we got it. Had a bit of time to discuss, and he seemed okay
No one
with it
would
all.
play with him in the same cart because he was smoking a big fat turd.
God, it was awful, but you just can't ask a guy who's won the Stanley Cup a couple times to put his cigar out.
No, I think that's holy grail.
Have you ever played Golden Ocala? That's where it was, actually. It's one of my favorite golf courses, actually.
My daughter, I told you she's a
Yeah.
collegiate athlete, and they had a tournament in Ocala. I've never played there.
Okay.
Um,
It's a replica course, so it's got like Amen Corner,
yeah.
A couple of the holes from St. Andrews. And,
I don't think that sounds familiar. She would have talked about
okay.
that. Is it like a country club though, or is it just a private?
It wasn't private because they let me on, but
No, but I mean privately held. I
um
don't think she's played it.
now, but it was struggling financially for years, so I don't know if it actually survived or not. It was,
What was the name of it?
Golden Ocala.
We'll be sure to put that in the show notes. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll get some meta tab.
If they want to sponsor us, I'll be happy to come out and put a few more divots in the
Yeah,
course.
we're looking for a good goat ranch to sponsor us.
Goat ranch. That's horse country out there, Dave.
That's right. And maybe it's been sold.
Had an old schoolhouse on the property they were going to turn into a
clubhouse.
Yep.
That's a great story, Woody. I don't know that I've got one any better than that.
You don't have any famous people you've met?
Well, the Bobby Bowden story was pretty good.
That's all you got, huh?
I did some funny stuff with Michael Cain one time, but it wasn't like I spent the day golfing with him. I was down. Okay, I'll tell the story if you insist. I was.
No, I'm not. But go ahead.
Okay, I'll do it, Woody, this time since we're on YouTube.
Quit asking.
Michael Cain. Just keep saying that. Anyway, so I was in the furniture business. My life revolves around 2 jobs, the furniture business and part of my territory, the entire state of Florida, but I covered, believe it or not, South Florida, so South Beach and.
Well, wait a second. You always tell us about the Panhandle. You also had.
Yeah, no, my sister was very kind. She lived in Tampa at one point, and so she says, "I'll take Tampa and Orlando. You can have Pensacola to Key West." And I'm like,
"You can have everything else.
That's like the state of California and Texas." And she goes, "That's right." So
it was her business, wasn't it? She started it.
Well, she started it, but then
I give her that.
I tripled it in size.
Oh, there you go.
So she
from never mind.
Yeah.
From an employee weight standpoint.
I was 250 pounds, but anyway, so I'm down in Miami. I would drive down Sunday to Fort Lauderdale. I had an apartment at Commercial Boulevard and US 1. Yeah. And down by Holy Cross Hospital.
What years was this?
1990 to 2000 and
You know, I lived in West Palm Beach, right?
uh-uh.
Oh, that's funny. All right, keep
Yeah, I
going.
drove by West Palm every other week.
Yeah, that's what I'm sitting there going, wait a second, that's right down the road for me.
Yeah, 1990 to about 2000. When the towers get hit, 9/11 was in 2001.
Yes.
I think 2003 is when I got out of business. But
All right.
anyway, yeah. So what the hell was I talking about? So on
Michael Cain.
Wednesday or Thursday, I would end up in Miami working in Miracle Mile, Coral Gables Design District. And then South Beach was really had turned into quite a place. And so I would be in South Beach, a lot of times entertaining clients. Well, we had a sales conference or something down at South Beach one time. And I used to take this one particular client to lunch at the Delano Hotel. And the Delano was a hotel. I can't remember the architect that redid it all, but pretty famous, real famous architect. But Madonna had a restaurant there. It was called White. The restaurant was all white. It was called White, and they had funky furniture. It was a real designer's dream. So some of my designers and a couple of my male clients wanted to go there because the Delano had a special pool out back, and during the summer they would sunbathe nude at the pool.
Here we go with the Swedish or the Icelandic women again.
These weren't Swedish, but so we would
Okay.
sit on the patio and and dine al fresco at the Delano. So one night I'm staying at the Delano in South Beach, of course, famous for its nightlife and so forth. And this is at the height of what's her name? The Latin singer had a restaurant
Oh,
down there. The chick that ran over somebody in a car.
no, she didn't run her bus.
Her husband ran over somebody, or somebody did.
And Gloria Estefan?
Yeah, Estefan's place was right around the corner from this hotel. You got a Gloria Estefan story?
Yeah, I met
Okay,
somebody
so
from her
anyway,
family.
so the Delano, I don't want to get into too far in the weeds, but it had this really cool rounded. Keep in mind, this is all Art Deco stuff down there, and so I'm walking out of the hotel down the steps, and there's a limo down front, and Michael Caine's getting out of the car, and so I don't know. I was with somebody. And I said, "Watch this. I'm gonna meet Michael Caine." They're going, "How you gonna do that?" So I did that thing. You know, when you're walking with someone and you get in their line of walk and you kind of jockey to one
Yeah,
side or
yeah.
the
You
other, try
play
to get out of their
left,
way.
right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I did it on purpose, and I just got wherever he went, I went and got in front of him. Now, mind you, I'm 6'4". You know, back then I was about 235 pounds. I was in
He's
good
no
shape.
short guy though, right? He's
He's
rather
not real
tall.
big, and
Oh, he's not? Oh, I thought he
he's just,
was.
and he's, you know, at the time, this was 30 years ago. So he wasn't quite, if he's still alive, he was a pretty old fellow back then. And so we got almost to the point so close we could kiss each other. We were so close. And he started to smile, and I smiled at him, and I said, and I looked right at him and went, "Hello, my name is Michael Caine," like that. And he looked at me and goes, "What, mate? Well done. Good on you, fellow," like that, something like that. And he shook my hand and goes, "Michael Caine." I said, "David Theus, nice to meet you, sir." He goes, "All right, that was good, mate. Yeah, it's all
That's a
right."
good interaction. I like that. Yeah,
And I
you
said,
gotta.
"Hello, my
We
name
have
is
a
Michael Caine."
me and some of my friends have a rule. We and one of the things we track is how many famous people you've met. And in order to count, meeting just means they have to acknowledge your existence in some way. So you can nod at each other. You can yell their name and they look at you. There has to be some sort of,
Hey,
yeah,
I was
like,
outside of Stark Prison when they were getting ready to electrocute a guy one time and waved at the door. Does that count?
no, did he wave back?
Well, I don't know. The lights dimmed.
Yeah, right.
All right, go ahead with your rules.
Well, that's the rule. They just have to acknowledge your existence in some shape, way, fashion, or form. So
Like a "Hey, you."
even hey you, or just them noticing you, like if you want to trip and land face first on the cement, I mean,
I
and
got a couple more. We'll keep going.
they
Well,
giggle at you like that, then yes, you've met them. You've had an interaction with that
okay.
person.
I got a
So the
couple more.
Michael Caine definitely ranks in there.
Yeah, that was actually a fun one too because he was a good sport about it. He got a
Yes,
chuckle.
right. Yeah, like
I don't think anyone's ever come up to him and done that. And it's, well, at least that's what I felt. But anyway.
yeah, it was original.
Um,
No, but I did have a run in with Gloria Estefan. One of
did you
her,
date her?
no, one of I was working in radio down there in that West Palm area, and one she was famous for promoting stuff in her band, right?
Yeah.
On to other things,
Yeah.
and Mark Anthony or something
Yeah.
like that. So I was at the radio station one day and he was coming in to be interviewed in the studio, and kind of like you and Michael Cain, we were walking opposite ways in a very skinny hallway. And I told him, I said, loser, get out of my way. And
You want Si habla español?
no, no, but we acknowledge each other because we had to, shift our shoulders to get around each other.
Rub your junk against each other?
Yeah, so I don't go around bragging about that one too much. That's
I
kind
wouldn't.
of on the bottom side of meeting people. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I
well,
got some good athlete ones, not as good. I think your Stanley Cup one's pretty cool.
that was yeah. I brag about that one a lot, especially when I'm around hockey people. I'm like, yeah, played golf with Wayne Cashman.
So I have a cool Dolphin, a Miami Dolphin connection. My sister's second husband, I guess.
How many
He
husbands does she have? That it's tough
I
for you to
don't.
keep track.
There's too many to count. She might be listening to the show.
Nice.
It was only her second husband. I think she's had. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Anyway, he grew up in Fort Lauderdale, and his childhood home, and which became his parents' home as he moved away, he lived right across the street from Jim Kick. You know who Jim Kick is?
I'm hoping that he somehow played on the special teams.
He was a running back for the Dolphins, the 17-0 team. He was tailback, and his fullback was a fellow by the name of
Larry Zonka.
Larry Zonka. And so
that young man grew up to be Larry Zonka.
So Larry Zonka and Jim Kick were best friends. And so Larry was a mountain of a man. I think he recently died not too long ago. But he had a convertible 450 SL Mercedes. And whenever I'd go down there to see my sister, we'd go over to Mark's family's house, and we'd always seem to catch him. But Larry'd be pulling up in the 450 SL convertible, I think, because the only thing he could stick his head out of it. And he'd be getting out of the car, and we'd get a chance to wave at him and go talk to his nose was all over his face. He had a broken nose about
right. Yeah, back in those days, yeah, you got hammered.
So, but there was a radio show back in the day down in Miami at a sports bar, and a guy named Joe Rose. You know who that is?
Name sounds familiar, but yeah.
He wasn't part of the 17-0 72 team, but he played tight end for Miami, and he hosted a radio show down there. So later in years, I got to meet Joe a couple times down there when I would see my brother-in-law. But later in years, at the Crown Plaza at the Florida Mall Hotel, they booked the Dolphins. There was one of those celebrity golf tournaments happening in Orlando, and they had like Joe Rose and his wife, AJ Dewey, who was a linebacker back in the day, young, probably my age, AJ Dewey, Dan Marino, first year quarterback for Miami Dolphins.
First year.
Garo
Wow.
Yepremian, the kicker. Bob, one of the terrible B's, he played safety for the Dolphins forever. What was his name? Not Bradshaw, but anyway,
I couldn't name anybody back there.
yeah,
so.
there was about 6 or 7 guys that came up for this tournament, and so I was the doorman. And that night they were supposed to go out on the town, and they had no one to drive the 13-passenger van. So they said, "Theus, here, drive. You know your way around Orlando. Here's the itinerary. Take them out on the town." So they put Marino in the back seat with Dewey, and Joe Rose and his wife were sitting up close to me. And Joe and I reconnect. I said, "Look, we know each other. I know of you."
Yeah, he's like, "Oh yeah, I know you."
He goes, "Oh yeah, Dave, we go way back."
Yeah.
So we're talking shop about Fort Lauderdale on the radio show, and we're like best buds, you know. And so anyway, that night they had booked these guys to go to Townsend's. Did you ever remember a place called Townsend's in Orlando?
Was that a steak joint or something?
No, it was a well, I guess so. One side of it was a restaurant, and then the other side was an old Orlando meat rack. I mean, it was a like they had live music, and the local yokels would go there. It was a pickup joint. You'd go hook up with people there.
I thought you were going to tell me you went to Twin Peaks.
Well, it was kind of like that. But so anyway, someone booked him to go to Townsend's. I don't know if it was for dinner or just go there dancing or whatever. And I'm looking at the itinerary. I'm like, this is the dumbest thing ever. Well, it was the year it was Montana's first, no, Marino's first year that he'd lost to San Francisco. They went to the Super Bowl,
Right.
his only trip, I guess, that had
Yeah.
a chance of doing it, and he lost to Montana. Well, this is a place where all my high school chums, alumni and all the old neighborhood would go to is over in Townsend's in Orlando. So it's a big Dolphin fan place. I'm in there milling around talking to people, telling them like, hey, look at me, I'm rubbing shoulders with these guys. I got my uniform on.
With shorts? Are you going shorts this evening?
And someone's about ready to beat Montana's ass. I keep saying Montana to Marino's ass because
he lost the Super Bowl.
Well, he lost the Super Bowl. They're all pissed off about that. And he's a kid, his first year at Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And he's a super hothead. He was single still. And it's ready to have a brouhaha, ready to start. And so I knew everybody in the whole place. And I'm looking at him like, hey, guys, cut it out. This is Marino. Okay, he lost the Super Bowl, but he lost to Joe Montana. Let's leave the guy alone. So Joe Rose comes over to me and goes, hey, Dave, you got to get us out of here. And I'm like, you can handle this. He goes, no, this isn't going to go well. You got to get us out of here. And so I said, all right, sure enough. So I go get the van, and I go back over to the guys I knew and said, hey, cut the shit out. I got to go get the van, get him out of here. So we get the van, everyone piles in. They throw Danny in the back, and he's lipping off about something. And AJ Dewey's like, shut up. We saved you again, shut your mouth.
Right.
And so I ended up lipping off to him. I ended up saying something like, and I told him I was at UCF and
that must have gone over big.
Well, and I played a little bit, and he said, well, UCF, is that even a school or something like that?
Right.
Whatever.
We were Division II at the time. Yeah.
Not even that, I don't think. But and so he started lipping off about UCF and stuff. And I said, Marino, shut the hell up. I'm the one.
No, you did not.
No, I did. I said, I'm the one who got your ass out of the bar back there. And if it wasn't for me, you'd have a whole bunch of brouhaha and Joe Rose up here. You'd be stuck in the bar. So shut up, pretty boy. Because I was still an offensive line mindset. And he was just okay. He was a pro quarterback.
Yeah.
But as far as I'm concerned, he was a 1-year guy out of Pittsburgh, and I was still an offensive tackle. And so I'm like, shut up, Marino. You almost got your butt beat back there, and we saved you to get out of there from the neighborhood. So from that night on, I was like, what a loser. But then, he turns out to be Dan Marino. So.
I know, but I'd still be bragging I lipped off to Dan Marino and lived to tell about it.
No, he wasn't going to do nothing to me. Not back then.
He was probably, even though he was a quarterback, he was probably just as big as you, if not bigger.
Yeah, I had nothing to lose though. Okay, he hits me. I'm going down like a box of rocks. Like, oh, look, you hurt me, Danny boy.
Oh yeah, you would have sued him. That's for sure.
No, so. But that was my claim to fame with Marino.
That's a pretty good story.
He seemed like a pretty nice guy, but he got a little lippy. And it was
I can understand when you're young and brash and all those kind of things.
I don't know
who were too.
Yeah, I don't know who booked that deal. That was the worst. I'm like, you're serious? We're taking these guys to Townsend's. There's nothing else to do besides that.
Well, this was the 90s. It was before it got big in O-Town, right?
Yeah, but that was just a place waiting to happen. It was a meat rack, a bunch of locals, all my, the Boone High guys that were there.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember it. So then I must have been thinking of something else.
It was one of those things you'd had to go into town to find.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, cool. I mean, the best thing I ever did was flip off a policeman, but we can talk about that another day. And got away with it. Now everybody does it, so it's not really a big deal anymore. At the end of the day,
I don't know how we're helping anybody. I hope Danny's not listening because I feel bad now. I've told this rank story on him.
Well, if he hears this, maybe he'll call in and you can apologize to him.
I'm not apologizing to him. He had it coming.
Did he?
Yeah, if it wasn't for Joe Rose and AJ Dewey saving his butt,
So he has to thank his Hall of Fame career and his broadcasting career on Dave Theus. He can thank you for that.
he needs to go back in time and think about the things that unraveled and how our interlude was a very important part of it.
So you did help him. You just helped him 30 years ago, not tonight.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, there you go. And by the way, the Delano restaurant was designed by architect Robert Swartberg. How's that someone famous?
No, who is the hotel architect?
That's what I just said.
That's the restaurant. The white.
No,
restaurant?
it says the Delano, Miami, designed by architect Robert Swartberg. It was a multi-story building, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it has a picture of it next to it and everything.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's closed, though. I won't get into
it. It's a different neighborhood down there now.
Oh, it's that area. So.
Yeah, it's happy.
Yeah, every part of the city goes through cycles right now. Everything, all the bad areas, all the warehouse areas are now turning into breweries, microbreweries, and restaurants. So that's coming around.
Yeah.
Hey,
well, there you go.
So one other thing I want to hit up today, because whoever this person is deserving of some credit, but a mild, this is one of my favorite kind of practical jokes, right? It takes planning. You never know when the payoff's going to come, right? You put some investment into it and it works out. It just happens to work out. And so, I mean, I'll get into it. So the other day, my wife and I get in my car. My car has a sunroof, but generally speaking, because we're just coming out of summer, I always keep the cover closed, right? Because I don't like the hot sun coming in the car when I'm driving and so forth. So I'm backing out of the driveway and I'm like, oh, it's a nice fall day out. I flipped the cover back and someone had drawn in, I guess because there's dust on my car for my workshop and stuff, a giant penis on the sunroof.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I did. I looked up. I'm like, I just kind of, how you look over your shoulder, look where what's going on. I happen to look up the roof when I open it. I'm like, that's
the giant penis on my
that had to have been up there for weeks.
Well, no one else could see it.
No, and I even looked at it from the outside of the car, and I can't see it from the outside of the car. So it was very well done. So I assumed it was my son, but he didn't take credit for it. And then I asked another practical joker at work today. I said, did you put any artwork on my car? And we got talking about it. He goes, no, I take credit for that one. That was a good one.
That sounds like a hostile workplace. You're walking around asking people, did you put a penis on my car?
Maybe that's why we're in financial ruins. But anyhow,
that's a lot of planes flying over.
We are right in the flight path, but
you look out to your left there, folks. You'll see a large penis on that guy's car.
On that man's car. I drew that. He does that as a marker. It's his pointer to the runway.
I do have a funny practical joke.
But those are the kind I like, where you have to invest. You may or may not be there for the payoff, because it's discreet.
That sets up something. You just sparked one of those things that sets Dave into replay.
Okay. It's not the time you guys played the joke on me about the guy who was going to come over and hurt me. Were you part of that one? That was Fidello.
No, the only thing I ever did with you was lit off about 6,000 black cats in the hallway at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, thanks. Oh, and showed up my door in a certain costume or lack thereof.
Yes, it was birthday time. All right, let's not go down that path because we said we wouldn't. All right, can I tell this little practical joke?
Oh, let me beg you, please.
Okay. If you insist, I'll do it. I mean, for the sake of we're on YouTube, why not? So this involves my friend Steve Boyle, and I can say his name.
I was going to say, you sure you want to throw the name out there?
He gave me permission. And you said some of the best ones you don't get to see,
right?
And then some of the best ones I think develop. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're not
Right.
just a one-off. They develop. So I always butcher I mean, make sure I get the front of the story is right. So we had another friend. I won't say his name. I can't remember his name. Tell you the truth, I can't. We said it something weird way, but he was a mutual friend of Steve's, of mine too. But he knew Steve better. That they worked together sometime. I think he ended up working at Disney World as a career person. Steve was in food and beverage, and they stayed. We played golf. The three of us played golf together. Kind of got to know each other, and BS artists and stuff. But I moved to North Florida. Steve stayed there, and the guy stayed there. So this guy comes into work with Steve, and he goes, "You're not going to believe this, man. I got the deal of the century." He goes, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Well, I ordered a pizza from Papa John's the other night, and the guy delivers the pizza. And all I had on me was 100. I didn't realize it at the time. This is back in the 80s, late 80s, early
Yeah.
90s. But all I had was a C note. And I told the guy, I said, "Look, I'm in the restaurant business. I feel horrible about this. All I got's a C note." And the guy said, "Don't worry about it. We'll just take care of me on the next time." And he left the pie. And so this guy was just flying high that he got this free pie, right? For
So
because
the delivery man just says, forget
he
it.
said, "Yeah, look, whatever. I can't cash the C note. We'll just call it. We'll get it on the next time." Because I guess he delivered pizzas to him from time to time.
Okay.
And so our guy's ecstatic. Our guy's like, "Steve, you're not going to believe this. It's the greatest thing since pizza. I got this free pie for it was a C note." So Steve's relaying this story. He comes up to Jacksonville where I'm living, and we would go play golf on the weekends or go to a Jaguar game or something like that. And so it was like Friday night. He goes, "Theus, you're not going to believe this. Our mutual friend," he tells the whole story about getting the pie. So it's Friday night, and we're hitting we've busted open a couple caps, and we've already started. And I said, "Hey, I got a crazy idea. We got to call him up." This is before star 69. Okay.
Yes. Right. Or
So
caller ID.
yeah, or caller ID. And we got to call him up, and we're going to say that we're the guy. It's the end of the month, and we're the guy from Papa John's, the manager. And we're looking at our books, and we're trying to reconcile. It looks like we got a free pie out there. Is there any way we can, settle up? And so that's the story. That's
Right.
how we're going to start off with it. And I was going to be the manager and make up some voice or something. So mind you, we're busting a couple caps. We're not really on our way, but we're halfway. We've started. I don't know. It's like 9 o'clock on Friday. So I call him up. "Hey, Bob, this is Bob over at the Papa John's. I'm sorry to bother you, sir, but you can imagine it's the end of the month, and I'm trying to close out my books. Looks like we've got an outstanding pie on the books. Is there any way we can come over and collect? Are you aware of this?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, that's the guy that had the C note, and he couldn't break my change. And it's Friday night, right?"
Right.
So so I said, "Can you come in and cash us out, make good on it?" And he goes, "No, I'm not coming over there." And I said, "Well, I mean, it's an outstanding bill." I didn't know how much it was. I didn't quote anything either.
Right. Right.
So he didn't ask us for the number either, thank God. And so I said, "Okay, I'll tell you what we can do. You're still over at What's the Doodle neighborhood?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "I'm probably going to have a delivery over there. Is it okay with you, based on our conversation? Can I tell my driver to swing by and pick up the funds?" He goes, "Yeah, that's fine. That sounds like a good idea." And I said, "Okay, so what's the latest? It's like 7:30, 8 o'clock right now." He goes, "Well, don't make it. I'm not going to be out. Don't make it any later than 10 o'clock." I said, "Okay, we won't be any later than 10 o'clock. Probably 9:30." And I said, "We'll see you then." So we hang up. So now we're kind of laughing, high fiving each other, right? And we decide to go out to the place around the corner and have a few more drinks. And we think we've just hung the moon because we've called this guy, and he's sitting alone
Right.
on Friday night thinking this guy's going to show up for the cash out, right? And so we get back to the apartment I lived in, and we're well on our way now Friday night. And I'm like,
Right.
we got to call him back. And it's like 10:30, 11 o'clock. So we're past the time that we're supposed to call
I'm
him.
sure your voices wouldn't give it away at this
Well,
point
no,
either.
I'm holding it together. So I'm like, Mr. Smith, whatever his name is, it just came to me, but I'm not gonna say it. I said, "Mr. Smith, this is Bob down at Papa John's. I'm sorry for the hour, but I told you no later than 10 o'clock. And so it's like 11. I said, I know, but you got
I
to bear
love
with
when you
me.
get people mad.
You got to bear with me. I'm trying to close out the book. God, I know you can understand this, but please help us out. He goes, yeah, I told you guys to get here at 10 o'clock, but yeah, send him over here. So I'm like, okay, we're going to send him on his way. So we hang up. So now I'm thinking, all right, we've just hung the moon. Now he's going to be sitting around waiting for this guy to show
For a
up.
little half hour.
We're done, right? So we call back just before midnight. And I call him back and I'm like, Mr. Smith, God,
You're not going to believe this.
I feel so horrible. And he goes, you sons of a bitches. I told you to be here at 10 o'clock. Now you're saying it's 11 o'clock. What are you doing? I said, I got a guy coming right now. I'm going to make good at it. I'm so sorry. Please accept our apologies. Please accept our apologies. But we're going to send him. He's coming your way. Give us about 15, 20 minutes. He goes, 15, 20 minutes. Boom, slams the phone down. So now I'm thinking, okay, now we've had.
Oh, you're not going to leave it alone yet.
No. So I said, Steve,
that wasn't good.
We've got one more chore to do. And he goes, what are you thinking? I said, we're ordering a pizza. He goes, what do you mean? I said, we're ordering a pie and we're going to send it to him. And so this is what I wish we had, like a camera.
Oh, that would like ring doorbell.
So we order the pie and we have it delivered to his house. Now imagine this. We couldn't be there for this. But
I think I would have called a cab or something.
The guy shows up on the front door with a pie, okay? And he rings the doorbell. The guy answers the phone, goes, what the hell took you so long to get here? He goes, and this guy doesn't know what's going on.
Right, he doesn't know,
I got
top
your
from
pie.
bottom.
And the guy goes, I don't want your damn pie. Get off my porch. I don't want the pie. And he goes, well, okay.
Yeah.
Then he goes, well, hey, wait a minute. Take this.
Here's some money.
So we've gone through this whole thing in our head, how this thing could have played out because we weren't there, right? If I was sober, I would have driven down there and we were watching. So about 2 weeks goes by, and Smith comes into the office with Steve, and he goes, "You're not going to freaking believe what happened to me this past 2 weekends." It's like, what are you talking about?
Tell me in detail. Tell me what happened.
These assholes calling me from Papa John's, telling me they're going to come over and send this guy. He never shows up. And then, like at midnight, this guy shows up with a pie, and he goes, "What did you do?" And he's just trying to soak it all in, right?
Right? Yeah, I would be loving it.
The guy's trying to give me a pie. I didn't want the pie, so I sent him back. But then I had to give him the money for the money I owed him. So I'm like, wait a minute, you refused the pie? And this poor guy is thinking, this guy's psychotic. And he's handed me a $15 check for the bill. So then Steve goes, whatever the guy's name was, he said it. He goes, so how'd that make you feel, Mr. Smythe?
Right.
And then the guy stops. He goes, what? And then he starts thinking, goes, that what? And then he goes, I was up at Theus's place. And so he goes, no, you didn't. So for like 3 weeks, he denied the fact that it could have been us. But then Steve told him the whole story. He was like, man, Jack. He goes, I'm forcing this guy to take the money, trying to give me the pie, and I'm sending him on his way with the pie. So, oh my God.
That would be a good one. Yeah, I ranked that high on the charts of getting someone's
you'd have
go.
To see it, it'd have to be
right. But you can. It's better
cameras.
Just imagining him getting irate with the guy ringing his doorbell, and because the reality probably wasn't. Yeah, the reality probably wasn't as good anyhow. So it's a much better story this way.
I don't know. It was one of the. We used to do stupid stuff like that. There was one real quick one. We were out at UCF. I think we were playing football or something at UCF. We're coming home from there, and there was a McDonald's way out there. And we go to the drive-through, and the drive-through speaker was out of order.
Oh, okay.
So they put a sign up that said, "Out of order. Please come to the first window." So we're up there, and I look at it. I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's out of order. We got to go up the front window." So I look at Steve, and I reached out and pulled the sign off. And he goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "This should be good entertainment." So I go up there and place the order, get my order, swing back around underneath the shade tree, and watch people pull up.
Get irate.
Oh my God! They're like, "Hey, are you gonna take my order?" And then they started acting like they knew what they were. One guy even said, "Okay, we'll pull around." Like, no, there's no one talking to you, buddy. We would do that for like, I don't know.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it is. It's stupid, but it's funny. And you didn't hurt anybody. the the real.
Did you see the Chinese restaurant thing I sent you from?
Yes, that was brilliant.
It
for
was amazing.
those listening at home, he basically took two cell phones, called
One
called
Chinese
a
restaurant.
different Chinese restaurant each phone, and then put them together so the speaker was going into the microphone of the other, and then two restaurants are arguing about who called who and what they wanted to order.
You're a Chinese restaurant. You're gonna order? Oh, you order a Chinese restaurant.
You called me. What do you mean I called you? You called me. They were going. I mean, the fact it went on for almost a minute is
I
the
sent that to
funniest.
my buddy Steve. He said, "This is classic. We should
Yeah,
do this."
I was like the same thing.
Yeah.
That's a great. You could say, but and the call. That's a great thing because caller ID doesn't really matter at that point,
No,
right?
because it's the
A
Chinese
business.
restaurant calling
Yeah,
each
they're
other.
going to take all incoming calls. They don't care what the number is. So yeah, that was a pretty brilliant joke, and I enjoyed it. So thank you. Hey,
All
listen,
right.
it's last week was light pole audit
Yeah.
week here in the neighborhood. Tonight's pothole filling night for the Woody family. So
You actually fill them, or you just annotate them?
well, it depends how much there is to fill, right? If it's more than the wheelbarrow full I make the kid push around with me of asphalt, then yeah, we'll just mark it for later.
We got a guy that has an orange paint can, and he sprays the holes, and then he takes a wooden broom handle, I guess, and he drives it into the hole, and he makes a makeshift cardboard sign that says "hole." I was gonna take a picture of it, but
What?
it just says "hole." There's like three of them in the neighborhood. I'm like, who's doing this?
Well, it's not like they're going to come by and fill it.
Well, yeah, it's in a subdivision, so the county. I don't even. We may not even be a county road. You know what
There
I mean?
are some rules I know up here. At some
It might
point,
be on us.
the road becomes property of the city at some point. And unlike mine, they came through and repaved my neighborhood. So
Yeah, I don't know, but it's pretty fine. The guy took the time to put a circle,
well,
orange paint, and a
as
hole.
cars hit it?
Well, the good news is they're up against the curb, so I mean, they're like it looks like one of the drains is washed out underneath it. That's where the hole came from. I don't know. I just think that people have a lot of spare time.
That's an awful lot of spare time, money, and patience to think that someone's going to come
Yeah,
by and fill the hole.
they're solving people's problems, I guess. I
I
don't know.
guess.
God bless them. All right. Well, I don't want to come between you and your potholes. Um,
Thank you.
tonight is Wednesday, 11/8. Happy Veterans Day, by the way. Veterans Day is Friday, I believe, isn't it?
I do not know. I went to the NC State games past weekend, and they celebrated the military while I was there. So
Yeah. To all of our listeners that may have served or are currently serving in the armed forces, we appreciate you and thank you for your service.
yes,
And
Dave will point out any more Koreans he sees at the Walmart.
yeah, I haven't seen
Should they try to infiltrate the states again?
they purchased all of our P8s and they flew home.
That's right.
Yeah, it's not really laughing matter. Those guys they're in the war zone. What's his name?
Kim.
Kim Jong Un. Oh,
I can't remember all the names, but yeah,
yeah, he's more than saber rattling.
Rocket Man.
And did you see not to get down in the weeds, but I know you got to go. But did you see the State Department issued a warning to maybe it's Department of Defense. There was an official warning from the Department of Defense that our friends over in the Middle East are saber rattling about what they're going to do to us here in the United States. So
Oh, Hamas. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Be vigilant, folks. Put your head on a swivel and be vigilant. And let's get that stuff to stop. All right. Well, this was fun. So we're going to be on YouTube, or this is it.
I think so. Yeah, I didn't really dress the part tonight, but so I apologize to any new visual listeners.
So usually you're slightly more professional.
Yeah, but like I got a kitchen pass this week, so I came home and put a sweatshirt on.
Your wife's out playing craps all week, and you're
Yes, and I get to stay home and try to make money doing this great show.
One bowl and one spoon.
That's right.
All
And
right,
a lot of cardboard boxes and microwave dinners.
What's that 5G?
Yes.
All right. Well, let's wrap up here. Thanks for watching. I'm Dave,
I'm Woody.
and you've been listening and viewing, much to our surprise, an episode of We Can Help with Dave and Woody. And if you don't like us,
Send us a note. Let us know.
suck it. We'll see you later.